Um, I am fully prepared for the hate that you all are going to bring my way because of what's in here. I don't care. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Double. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I have a small channel and I love anybody that views even one of my videos. So don't think you're not appreciated. Thank you. If you enjoy the video, by the end of it, please maybe hit the subscribe. I'm old. I like Eddie Van Halen. I'm one of those guys. I recently redid a guitar that sparkled blue right there with GFS body. So I have an extra body kicking around, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with it. I started looking at it and going, man, the Frank-CHIN-STRAT had that kind of a thing, and I have this broken, messed up piece of a pickguard, and I started thinking maybe I'll make a Frank-CHIN-STRAT. And then I kind of got on AliExpress like we do now that we get on AliExpress, and I saw something that was a little mind-blowing. Now, if you don't know much about AliExpress, of course, they are known for stocking us full with Chibson guitars. I'll go as far as to say that they are starting to actually get pretty decent. Okay, they're not bad, but I myself have a lot of problem with buying a guitar that is branded and isn't actually what it claims to be. Okay, so there are fake ESPs and Gibsons and fake this and that. And then there's some pretty wild guitars. And then there's this one that has no branding that is a tribute to, I guess, the original parts caster, the one that everybody knows so well. Obviously, this is a FRANK-CHIN-STRAT in here, and we're going to open it up and give it a look. I don't know the whole history of the Franken-Strat, okay? I couldn't tell you really one thing from another when it comes to what's what on, especially the era that I really, really loved and what hit me, you know, the early 80s and even into the mid and late 80s of Eddie's playing. You just knew when he brought out his original, you know, it was just cool. Even though he moved on to Kramer and all that kind of stuff, so this has no branding on it apart from the coloring. Okay, so you can argue that if you would like. I'll give you the point that the coloring is the branding. Okay, and that as soon as you look at it, you know what it's supposed to be. But it should not say any brand name from any company that has ever manufactured a similar tribute guitar, a bunch of parts put together just like Eddie did, right? Didn't he just get some parts? I can't tell you exactly the whole story, but there are plenty of channels on YouTube that could. So this won't be a deep dive into the history of the Franken-Strat. This is going to just be a look at what we have here. Because of the size of the foam box, the strap hook at the bottom of the guitar needs to be removed for shipping. After arrival, please install it yourself. We apologize for any inconvenience. No worries there, my man. Wishing you all the best. If you are satisfied with this guitar, please give it a 5-star rating. And yeah, so they sent it to me as a customer, not a YouTuber. This is what you will get. However, I need to say something about buying off of AliExpress. There are a lot of sellers on Ali that sell guitars. Okay, there's just a lot of them, and there's a lot of variations of this. So it's a particular seller that I have heard about. This isn't a bad strap. It's pretty decent. It's not real thin, you know, material. It is a skinny kind of a strap, and it has the, you know, those dog collar kind of things. Let's see what else we got in here. We got a trem bar, and we got the worst cable in the world, which is good for like aux switches. But you do have a cable, just in case you don't have one, you'll get one. But really, you should have something better than that, please. You got your Allen bars, your Allen keys. I got my trem bar over here. Let's see. Okay, there is already one of these eye hooks installed. So there's one up here on the horn, but there's not one down here. There's a hole drilled for it, and that'll go right there if that's the one you want to use. You know, that's what Eddie used if you really want to get down to it. Okay, so you want to see what the guitar looks like. So let's get all of this kind of out of the way. And you know what I don't like about the ones that are branded, the EVH ones that I've seen, is that there is so much gloss over most of them. And then if you want to get ones that aren't glossy, you have to pay like so much more. And it's like, why? Well, why? I mean, I just don't understand that. So I really liked the fact that this was not a real glossy guitar, like that it actually was satiny. And obviously there's only going to be so much that can be what, you know, close to what Eddie had. Yeah. It's a little bit of fret sprout going on, which is to be expected. And I mean, like, not even, that's not even sprouty, quite honestly. That is just a little sharp at the edges. And that's nothing that a little fret file can't take care of. Holy moly. Holy moly, you guys. Look at this. And you know, I don't know how the springs are set up, but this guitar was $300. It was only $300. And if you were to get one of these branded with official parts, what's official for Eddie's guitar? What was official? There's nothing official, really. They were knockoff parts. That's just how it was. Now, I see no branding. I have no problem with buying something that has no branding on it at all like that. You know, no branding means it's not really trying to be EVH branded or anything like that. So that's, you know, my reasoning behind picking this one over anything else. Okay. Now, I will say out of the box, the action is high. This traveled all the way from China in a week. You know, man. So I think the aging on the neck here, I think that'll all wipe off. See some aging here on the pickguard. You know, they definitely did aging. This is painted. I mean, I can feel the paint lines. This isn't just like some sort of a template that was sprayed down from, I don't know how they did it, but this was clearly painted. It all wasn't. I don't know. I have no idea. I love the satin look of it. You know, the original one was done with Schwinn bicycle paint, so it never really had that gloss that you see on a lot of the real ones. You can see, you probably can't see, but the action is probably at least at about 3 millimeters here. So I'm going to have to bring it down. The Floyd is flush to the body. I do have a detuner that I could put on here. Unfortunately, it's black. This Floyd doesn't seem to be resting against the body. It is actually just against the body up here. So, you know, it's those kind of just very minor specs that, of course, you know, they're only going to put so much into. This says Floyd Rose 2. Might have to shim the neck in order to really get this to the position that I want it. But if you're going to buy a guitar like this off of AliExpress, you really do have to expect to do some work on it. There are just going to be some concessions. The frets are barely sharp there. You know, like, I'm not going to have to do a lot of work to get that neck really comfortable and not feel any catch, you know. But very relict, really well done. Like the bang up there, probably keys and screwdrivers and stuff like that. Holes here from pickguard. So this is I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty blown away. There's actual you know what that ASMR, the whatever the 4 letters are. I talk over it. Yeah, these These are actually mounted on here. They're real reflectors. See, no name, no branding. You know, so that makes me feel okay about it. Now this says volume. I have a tone pot I can put on there, a little one that says tone. Probably age it a little bit more, but even for just wall art, you know, like if this doesn't play very well, which I'll give it a test and I'll actually film here. Obviously, you'll see it. It's got the quarter. What are we looking at? What year? 1990 quarter. So I'll have to find, if I really want to get down, I'll have to find the right year. So, and it does have like a proper looking switch. It doesn't have like one of those box ones like you find in a lot of less expensive guitars. Bridge pickup mounted directly to the body at a little bit of an angle there. So yeah, I think my goal is going to be to turn this guy into either the black and white or the black and gold. You guys tell me, what would you like to see, that black and gold or the black and white? I like the early versions. Now that I have this red guy, I mean, I couldn't have done this for this amount of money. I would have had to spend $500, and I know I would have messed this up. I never would have made this look right, and this looks decent to me. You know, that's one of those things that you're like, oh, I'll never do that. I'll never be able to get that right. Did a great job. I'll leave a link somehow to the name of the music store. I think you can link AliExpress stores here. I'm not too sure. I have no idea. But the name of it is like music store and then a whole bunch of numbers. And their model was just the best looking of all the ones that I had seen. And the guy was like super responsive. The sales guy was immediately back in touch with me when I reached out about the guitar. So there's room in here for me to drop a bigger block in here. You know, I'm going to definitely do some tweaking, but for right now, I'm going to get it tuned up, plug it in, and play it, and we'll just hear it through the Thomas McLaughlin suite for right now. I'm not going to turn on all my amps and get everything going. Not for this video. If you guys want to hear this through a wet, dry, wet rig, leave that comment below, even just the letters WDW, and I'll do a video with this, just a like 2 or 3 minute video featuring this through the wet, dry, wet rig. I have a feeling we're going to see a little more of this just because. Just because. It's real close to being in tune. One thing I'll say, that bar is just a little wobbly. It's definitely going to have the Eddie wobble, which maybe hey, there you go. That's what it does. That's what Eddie did as he bounced around. That thing was doing that. I like it in position. And to me, the bar seems like it's a little high up. Let's see. It just seems like the bar is up real high. I'm going to end up putting a different bar in here that sits a little bit lower, because that's just, for me, a little far away for me to do some of these moves. It's just a little far away. I've done a little tweaking. I've tried to get the action as low as I can. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to shim the neck just a little bit underneath of here, just to get it down like another millimeter. But it's starting to feel a little playable. Strings that came with it, pure crap. Everything else so far good. One tuner just a little stiffer than the other. I'll just give it a little loosen. Tuners feel good. Bar action, the movement of the bar, smooth. You know, it goes up and down, rests at the body, and it's not knocking or doing anything like that. So happy with that. Just wanted to give that update. And I'd also like to point out that the idiocracy of me wearing a 1979 Van Halen shirt, 1979 tour shirt. It's a Van Halen 1979 tour shirt. I have I didn't get it from Marshall's. Just let me know what you think, and I'll put some playing down here. These strings are just not staying in tune. Like I just said, the strings are pure crap. But getting there. I'm getting there. I'm stretching and working on them. But the woo. I have proceeded to knock it out of tune after, just a little bit of that. So I didn't spend much time stretching the strings. I just kind of messed around with getting it kind of set up. I did take a spring out and I pulled the claw in just a little bit more, but it's this bridge, the way that it all is. I got the action in a decent little spot now. I wouldn't mind it probably like a half millimeter closer. And so that's a shim. I'm not unimpressed by it. I'm not unimpressed by really many things. Obviously, kind of cheapish tuners. I'm having trouble with the cheap strings, but I'm getting great tones out of it already. I don't play in a Van Halen tribute band. I'd probably never use this on stage with my band except for one or two Van Halen songs. If I felt like bringing out a third guitar just for a song or two that we might even drop, who knows? But for that impact, that would be great for that song. But I just, I could never spend the money. And if anybody ever asks me, I'm never going to try to pass it off as something that costs more than what it did. And I'm never going to try to say I've made it. I'll make my own version of it and it'll look much worse than this. I'm quite sure. I mean, you either hate it or you love it. You either love it or you hate it. There's probably not very many in betweens as far as this goes. You hate my shirt because it's not really from the 79 tour. Well, you probably don't like this guitar because it's really not Eddie's, and you'll never play that, and I'll never play that. And if you really don't like this guitar because it doesn't have a particular brand name on it to represent that these stinking pieces of wood and metal have been put together in a tribute to one of the greatest rock and roll guitar players to ever live, arguably the greatest, then that's just how you feel, and I dig. I just am too old to deal with making one myself, and I am going to end up making one anyways, just because. But it won't look like this now at this point. This is cool. Let me know what you think. If you really hate it, if you really love it. I think there's not going to be very many people in between. I mean, I can make this guitar in an evening feel exactly the way I want it to. And you probably could too. The neck is killer. The neck just has a nice chunk to it. It's a chunk boy. So here it is. There's my FRANK-CHIN-STRAT. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think. I'll leave a link or some description if I can for the name of the store that I got this from. There's a couple of other stores. Look at store ratings. Look at how many people follow them before you really ever think about buying a guitar off of AliExpress, if that's what you're going to do. I personally, like I said at the beginning, I personally would never buy a fake Gibson. And they're pretty easy to tell just from certain tells. But Because then you're stuck with that, that, and you're stuck with whatever it is. And if you try to pass it off as something that it's not, people know, and it'd be on you if you try to sell it. And if you really try to sell something like this at a store or a Chibson for that matter, or something that is fake, they're going to know, and they're not going to take it. They might even confiscate it, because that's what some stores do. They're not going to take it. Something really weird I noticed is that the like first 6 or 7 frets, there is like a millimeter or half a millimeter of a gap between the end of the fret and the neck. It's fine for me. I'm going to be able to like roll the fretboard even more. It gives me some space. But the rest of the frets beyond the 6 or 7 fret, they didn't do that. So that was weird. But I'm not going to sell this. And if it ever goes to somebody else, I will make sure that they know that it's not EVH or Fender or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't usually get like that. I'm usually pretty vanilla about stuff, but there's just, you got to have some cojones to first off grab the Eddie style, the colors. You got to be, like it's almost. I've always kind of been like, oh man, you got the Eddie guitar, you better be ready to rock. You better really show me what's up. So I'm not ever going to do that and impress anybody. That's great. So I just want one to have, and this is it. All right, thanks guys. Let me know what you think. I appreciate it. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. I'd appreciate that as well. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you next time.